Welcome to the Sound Mind Strategy Podcast with your host, Evan
and Anina Blankenship.
This podcast is aimed to be an in-depth discussion between husband and wife power couple where we take on challenging topics in the mental health and wellness arena.
By trade and training, I'm a licensed clinical social worker, certified professional coactive coach, USA Cycling National Champion, and I love to push my limits both physically and mentally.
As for me, I am currently in a master's program for sport and performance psychology, where I'm also on track to become a certified mental performance consultant. I've also been coaching athletes for the last 5 years, helping them reach their truest potential.
We're both very passionate about athletic performance, mental skills training, spirituality, and we love to take a holistic approach to helping people find harmony in their mind, body, and spirit.
We believe that there's greatness inside of everyone. Our mission and the mission of this podcast is to help you unlock and operate within yours. Hello, everybody. Welcome back or welcome to the Sound Mind Strategies Podcast. This is your host, Evan, with my wife,
Anina.
Last week, we touched on fear. That was the big topic. We had a really good time discussing that one and just going in depth and sharing some personal stories.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I feel proud about that one. That was a good episode.
I do too. I felt really good about it. And I noticed how I really had to let it come into play even when we went on our trip to Asheville that past week. It was like fear was trying to creep in and I had to kind of eat my own words, you know?
Yeah. So put it into practice.
I did. It totally was. It was perfect. Just what I needed.
Yeah, it was good. So Asheville, yeah. Speaking of Asheville, that was a fun trip. I had a good time. It was really cool. We were supposed to have awesome weather all weekend. We did get a little bit of rain on Friday, but overall it was fun. We were able to take Cooper with us and he had a blast. You did some hiking with him.
Yeah, we did a lot of hiking. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. We met a lot of really neat people. Some people had dogs at the hotel and it was fun. He just had a blast and we had a really good time meeting all the other cyclists that were there for the Oat Route event. Others that were just there in town. So it was great. We had a really, really good time with that. Is there anything else that you got going on? That you've been kind of up to?
No, not really right now. Like nothing too major. Just kind of recovering from all that hiking that me and Cooper did. And I know I kind of mentioned some of the thoughts I had to work on, or just some of the fears I had to work around. And for some reason, for some reason, that like lions, tigers, and bears, oh my, I kept having that go through my head. I kept wondering like, what wildlife am I going to see?
Hiking in a new area?
Exactly.
What do they have versus what's here?
Yes. And it was so funny because you and I had that conversation where I was like, I could look at it as, lion and tigers and bears, like really scary, or like with some excitement, like lions and tigers and bears, like this is exciting if you see a bear.
Yeah.
So I totally had to flip the script and change it. I did not see any wildlife, just for the record, but I did notice that I actually was able to use some of my self-calming techniques and just like the positive affirmations and just switching like what
that's awesome.
It meant to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like that's perfect testament of like we obviously don't have it all figured out.
Right. Work in progress.
I was working on some of it too. I had ridden a lot of those roads before. We'd been out there a couple of times, and I think just a lot of the stuff that we talked about, just like, I'm a decent descender. I'm a decent bike handler. I'm, definitely not the best, but I do pretty well. I feel confident in what I do. But like, there were some times that there was some guys that definitely were out handling me. So it was fun. It was like, we don't have a lot of that here, so it was just neat to ride with people and then to like be in my own headspace of just like, okay, you're good, you got this, be confident, and so that was fun.
Yeah, kind of like your own mantra, and then but also then kind of seeing it as this is a new kind of skill set maybe you're developing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's cool.
Another really cool thing that I've been doing, thanks to you, you got me a membership to a local place for like cryotherapy. I'm not sure if anyone has used this, done this, heard of it. I'm loving it. I've been going literally every single day. Mm-hmm. So the membership is like unlimited freezes for the month, and and then also you can add on some other services that they offer. So I've been doubling up. I've been going in doing the infrared sauna and then getting into the cryo, and man, I feel great. Like I feel like I recover really well. My body feels really good. If you're into it, check it out. I know there's a ton of really good research on it. I've heard some other people that talk about like recovery modalities, and some people love it, some people hate it. I'm in the fan of definitely find it favorable. It's still early and new to me, but I'm really enjoying it. So check it out. Yeah, if you have one available to you, I would definitely check it out.
Yeah, it was fun. I know I got to try it today for the first time, and it was pretty cool. I know we did the sauna beforehand, and they got in there afterwards, and it was funny because I had little icicles on my hair from when it was the sauna time, so it was kind of funny. But it was a good experience. Like they talk to you while you're going through it, so you don't like freak out as it's like your whole body feels like it's like an ice block.
Yeah, I mean it's quick. You're
3 minutes max.
Yeah, 3 minutes is the max limit, so it's pretty cool. I've been having a lot of fun with that. And another really neat thing that we did, we finally did it, pulled the trigger on it. Is we got so Cooper is an adopted dog. He's mixed breed. We get the question, what is he? We don't know. So we're gonna find out. We finally ordered the DNA kit, and we did the little swab today, and we're gonna send it off. So.
See who our baby boy is.
Yeah, see what if you are familiar with him or want to get in on it, you can check out some photos on him on his Instagram. It's at Cooper's _tails, TALES _, and you can kind of check out, see what he looks like, and maybe shoot us a line and put your guesses in there too. So that'd be kind of fun. So I guess just to fast forward, let's just dive right into it. So what's the topic for today?
Motivation.
What is it? I don't know. Right? Like if what causes us to do what we do, what points our compass in the direction for you versus me or anyone, and then what moves us in a specific intensity, right?
Right.
So that kind of is a little bit more of a definition, but I guess the layman's term definition for me is just like, why do I do what I do?
Exactly.
And why do I move towards something with a lot more intensity versus less intensity towards something else? So I think that's kind of, to me, what I would term motivation.
Yeah.
Is that you too?
Yeah, for me, it's kind of the same thing, like the why behind why I do the things I do. And for me, really thinking about the life coaching business I'm working on developing, it's just, I love being able to see the growth and then change in others and being like a facilitator of that change for others too. So that's just something it just really excites me. So I feel like I'm internally motivated, but also externally motivated by that as well. And I think those two are important to have. And I know we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Right. I think some of the big things that we'll touch on, just kind of give a few quick bullet points, and then maybe go back and kind of dive into them a little bit deeper. But like the ebbs and flows of motivation. Like if I love this and if I'm passionate about X, whether it's sport, performance, or craft, or business, or mastery, or anything, whatever you put your energy into, why does my motivation wane sometimes? Why does it like peak out? Why is it on blast? And why is it like, I can't find any, like, but this is supposed to be my passion. Like, is it really my passion if I have no motivation? And yeah, absolutely. It still can be.
Yeah, totally.
So some other things would be internal versus external motivation, right? That's a big one. And then what are some of the other things that you kind of have for it?
So for me, those are like the ones that I was kind of thinking about today a lot, and just understanding like how our motivation can change over time, and kind of just like the positive and negative impacts of motivation as well is something
very cool
to touch on today.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's some really good bullet points. Like, I think it gives us enough stuff and substance to dive into and just have a good conversation about it. So, I guess let's just start off with just the big thing of like, kind of what we talked about, just the ebb and flow of motivation, right? Mm-hmm. So if I, as an athlete or a business person, and if I'm passionate about something, what would cause my motivation to maybe diminish or go down? What would that be like for you? Do you have any examples of that?
Yeah. For me, I do just kind of really like I think about it in cycling, since I feel like I've been doing that for so long. I feel like my motivation it kind of ebbed and flowed a lot. And sometimes as I look back, I realize it was sometimes I was externally motivated by just the praise and support and attaboys I would get, but then also the internal of just like that competitive drive just to go. And I think really back to Masters Nationals with the time trial I did, it was just like, this was my choice. This was the thing that I wanted to do. And I had that drive. It was just like, I could stay so focused to my workouts and what I needed to accomplish to get the task done. So I was internally motivated, by that, but also externally, because it's like I did want people to see like, hey, she can do this, and this is something that's possible for her. So it was twofold for me. And there were times, I think sometimes, where I did kind of have some lows and just needed to like take a break. Like, okay, Nina, your workout says you have X, Y, and Z today, but hey, check in with yourself. You're just not feeling it today, and honor that.
Even in that of like cycling as a whole, even to like truncate down to this really small spot of just this one goal of Masters Nationals, and even more specifically the time trial, we would say like, yeah, your motivation was off the charts. But like, even if we were to look at that in a more micro level of like monthly, weekly, daily, hourly, even like,
right,
we would see that your motivation was not always at the same level. It was very high and it was very low, and
in between.
Yeah, it hit all the points, right? So a lot of some of the different factors. I think that a lot of people, I think, maybe miss is outside of the mental aspect, the psychological is the physiological, right? Like,
right.
We're putting our bodies through a lot of stress.
Yes.
We're definitely stressing the body constantly. So when you're at the end of like, I know the coach that you were working with, you kind of did some periodized training. So you build for a few weeks and take a week off, or easy, and then build again.
Right.
So when you get towards the end of that training block, like, you're pretty fried,
right.
And that's the point. We're supposed to be stressing the body and building new abilities and capabilities and stuff. So like motivation, it has a play on motivation too, because like our cortisol levels are going to be high. We're tired. We're fatigued. Our glycogen stores are,
there's so much to it.
Yeah.
There really is. And it's kind of like, I almost feel like I had this huge blast of motivation, and now I'm like, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, but then
but it's,
on the flip side of that, you get to the end of the recovery week, and then you're like, where's my bike? I'm ready to roll. Let's go. Right?
Right. Yeah. Totally.
But the other side, on the tail end of the big training block, you're like, I don't even want to look at that thing anymore. But
yeah, it does get like that.
I think you just have to be able to take a step back and just say, what's the big goal here?
Yeah, and like, what has that been for you? For like an
Well,
example,
I think
yourself?
a big thing was school.
Okay.
Going through school, I was older, so that was difficult. So I had to say I had a target in mind of like graduating at so I had to just say, well, I don't have the goal of a typical maybe college student of like graduating at a certain age. So I had to say, well, my goal is GPA, right?
Right.
And I would get really, really tired and really, really just kind of like down on myself. But just kind of like what you're saying, not
sometimes.
Yeah. Just like, I'm just burn out. I'm
right.
so ready for this semester to be over, the quarter or year, whatever. But I would just have to keep that in the forefront of like, push through just that little bit more. This is the end of the training block or
right.
the semester. Just get through this test, get through this final.
Just kind of keep having those little micro moments to help get you to that.
Yeah,
that
get
goal.
to the reset.
Yeah,
just get to the reset, and then you can reflect and feel proud about what you did, and just say, "I nailed that one. I hit my intervals, or I hit my GPA target, or I made the sales I needed to make. I brought on the amount of clients that I needed to bring on this month for my goal."
Yeah, and I think you bring a good point about like acknowledging those things you've done well in, and not just being like next, but like
Oh, that's
seriously,
huge. Yeah.
like almost like allowing yourself to bask in them. Because I know for me, and I know others I've spoken to, it's like we kind of skim over those things that have gone well for us and kind of dwell more on the negative that's happened.
Well, because those were supposed to happen.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
that's
In
how-
your mind, yeah.
I mean, that's how it can turn into a big negative. Like, well, no, those are supposed to happen. I'm just checking boxes. Like,
Yes.
no, those are successes. Those are victories. Like, you need to relish in that and like really, really feel good about it. Instead of just like, because that's how I would, previously in other endeavors, that's how I would not allow for rest and not allow for success, or I wouldn't enjoy anything. It would just be next,
Yeah.
move on. Like I'm just ticking boxes instead of like making successes.
Yeah, and I think that really plays into your motivation. Like I feel like that can really like kind of put a damper on your motivation at times too.
Yeah, big time. So I think one of the big things is like what causes that flow. I think we touched on that of like the psychological side, the physiological side. If it is more kind of like, it doesn't have to be. The physiological is true, even if it's not sport related, because people grind it out like in business and starting a business or a new job or parenthood or anything, like there is the physiological side that goes to that. So allow your body to rest. I think that's understand. This is a hard one for me when I've heard like, you just have to understand when to push on and understand when to rest. It's like, well, if they kind of feel the same.
Yeah, they can.
I feel like I'm on the edge, but when do I push and when do I rest? And I think that really comes into play of having a mentor, having a coach on hand. Like they're not necessarily going to be like the expert to say, this is the time, but they're going to be able to ask the right questions. They're going to be able to be that echo board to you to just say, yeah, you're right. It's lack of motivation or a fear of failure or a fear of success. Just say, okay, push on. Or no, you just need to rest a little bit. You're good.
Yeah, and I think too, you bring up a point that I've often like noticed for myself. It's kind of like I want someone to tell me what to do, when it's like that's great, but like helping me in the long run, it doesn't really help me, because I've never learned then how to tune into my own body and know my own signals and symptoms of when I'm tired and when I need a mental or physical break. And I think with me having a coach too, it really helped, because it was like asking those open-ended, powerful questions where I had to really do the digging, and it wasn't like, this is what you need to do kind of thing. It was more helping me figure it out. So I felt more empowered and that I had a choice in this matter.
Yeah.
So
I got one quick question for you. Just in your experience, like you've gone like very narrow focus within cycling, right? So cycling, getting better, training, but then even very narrow into like just one event, one target. And then now you're kind of also with just like learning, schooling, very narrow focused into honing a craft and a skill and starting business, right? So do you feel that even because one's very physical, one's very mental, do they kind of weigh on you about the same? What are some I guess similarities, differences with those?
That's a good question. I haven't really thought about that much. I think with both of them, there is a lot of like mental fatigue that goes along with both of them. So I feel like there's definitely like a parallel right there, or like there's like a similarity between the two there, because mentally it was draining to be training for a time trial, and mentally sometimes it can be draining just of coaching, so it does kind of go there. But with coaching too, there is a physical aspect in a way, because it does, I pour a lot of myself into coaching, to be there for others. And some of the coaching I do does involve geography. So it involves us to like move around the room and find a new perspective and like physically get like unstuck, if you will, from whatever you're stuck in your life.
Right.
So there is the physicality of that too. as there of course was with the time trial, because you're pushing yourself to the extreme. So, but I really do feel like what I learned in time trialing, just being able to push myself physically and mentally has really carried over well into coaching, and just helping me to find what those resets are and what those look like for me, and honoring those when I need a break, or maybe I need a change of surroundings and I need to go out into nature for a while, just to kind of like mentally reset myself. So I feel like they're kind of like the same, which is as odd as it may sound, but I do feel like there's a lot of similarities between the two.
I agree. I think just with my like schooling, and then also like training for different things that I've trained for, cycling wise and other things, like they definitely have a parallel, like
Yes.
very draining, I think, is the main thing, like taxing in different ways, but just like you just at the end of the day just feel empty, right? I think that's kind of my biggest takeaway of like with school now, and then just other big training events. When you go through those big blocks, you just feel empty. You just pour yourself into it, and I think to me that's a good thing, because it shows that it's something very important to you. It is a passion of yours.
Yeah.
Like if you're willing to empty yourself for a goal, it's not frivolous, it's not meaningless, it's important to you. It might not mean anything to someone else, and they might question your every action towards it, but it's very important and very deep rooted to you, and you should give it that kind of attention.
Yeah. Yeah. And you make me think too about something that I've started doing that I've really enjoyed, that sometimes helps boost my motivation and just reconnects me to my why behind why I'm doing, coaching, for instance. I have what I've made is a confidence board. So on it, I have different sayings that really speak to me, different scriptures, different write-ups that different clients have said about me, and just a couple other things on there as well that really help me reconnect to my why. And that helps keep me motivated, because sometimes my tank does get low and I need it to be, filled back up, so to speak. And that really helps. And I encourage people to try that too, because it's
powerful.
It's been helpful.
You want to be able to, I think it takes a lot of courage, even if it's only for yourself to see. Like I challenge everyone to do this. Whatever goal you're working towards, even if you're going to share it with no one, write down why you're doing it. Write down why you should be doing it, why you're good at it, what talents, gifts, and abilities that you have to put into that. It's at least for me, like it was very challenging to be able to be vulnerable and open, even to myself, to say I deserve it because of this.
Right.
Like I am good enough because of this. Like and to sometimes you hear the negative things from other people, what they say towards you about it, or like, oh, you should give that up, or you're silly, or you're crazy. You hear those things, and it really kind of makes you second guess like your passion, your drive, your motivation towards something. But you're worth it. Like if it means something to you, do it. I mean, it's valuable. The amount of things that you're going to learn from it, and the amount of things that you're going to be able to share to other people, even if it's
so
not
true.
directly related to the exact same kind of goal, if they're going to be able to take that passion and do this, and take that same fervency into whatever their passion is.
Yeah, that's so true. That's a really good point. Yeah, I'd love to hear who out there ends up doing that. I'd love to hear about it.
So what are some things that like maybe internal versus external motivation?
Yeah, that is something that, I know I've struggled with in the past before. But, like just kind of thinking external motivation is, maybe like the positive feedback you get, or you want recognition, or you enjoy winning or making friends, whatever it may be. And internal, I normally think about is like, you love the sport or love the craft you're in. You're just passionate about it. And you enjoy improving and wanting to work on your skills. And like I said before, I think you can have both at times. And I think the really only conflict can come into play is when one is maybe outweighing the other. If you're more concerned about what other people are thinking about you, I think that can really, really hamper like your ability to to stay in maybe a specific sport or specific arena that you've ascribed to.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like, I definitely think that to use internal and external motivation, I think no matter what your endeavor is, you should use both.
Yes.
But ultimately, the way I view it is external motivation should be used like when you're kind of getting stuck, but the main thing should be internal drive. It should be your own internal motivation. It shouldn't be that I'm only, because to get through the hard times, to get through the really tough times, like what we mentioned, like when you just feel empty and drained at the end of a block, or, you know, when you're kind of right in the middle of it, you're like, I've come so far, but I still have so much further to go. That external drive is not going to get you there. Like the accolades, the recognition, the pat on the back, the attaboys, whatever. It's going to be the internal drive that really gets you through those deepest, darkest times of when motivation's super low.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think they can really complement each other, but it's kind of just to be cautious when maybe one's getting out of whack, right, and kind of just reconnecting to your why again. Like, am I doing this because it's something that, you know, everyone in my family has done, or is it something because it's who I am and is a part of me too? And I think just sometimes getting clear on that, is it because, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing this, or is it because I truly, deeply desire to do this? And I think that can really sometimes help you figure out if this is you or somebody else's pressure they've put on you.
I know for me personally, like with Sound Mind and the coaching and the podcast and everything, it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of work, and some of it's easier than other stuff. Some of it's harder than other stuff. But it's just like that constant way. Like we're in those stages where it's just like lots of spinning the wheels, right? And it just feels like we're just not getting traction. But I think that's just part of new business, new ownership.
Yes.
So it's okay. But I think the things that get me going and keep me going are not the, we're going to make so much money. It's not the money. It's not the attention. It's the thing that really motivates me to push on and to, I guess, grind it out. I'm not a huge fan of that. Like when people say the grind of their business, you know, like I just, it's a labor of love to me.
Get your boots going to boogie.
The thing that, the thing that really motivates me to keep pushing when I'm kind of like that drained, empty feeling is I'm going to be a service to someone.
Right.
I'm going to support someone. My dream is to help you fulfill your dream.
Exactly.
I want to be that support system and watch you succeed. I want to see you raise your hands in the air if it's athletic, or I want to see you start your new business. I want to see your business grow and succeed. I want to see you be a successful parent.
Right.
Or whatever your endeavor and adventure is, I want to be a part of that. And the support beams, like that's the way I view it. And that's what motivates me. And that's internal versus like making money or whatever. Or so many likes on Facebook and Instagram. I don't, that's neat and it's fun, but that's not what motivates me.
It's not your pure motivation. Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I kind of say the same thing of like just being of service to others, because I know that, the Lord has put giftings and talents within me. And for me, just to keep them within, I feel like that's really selfish to not share what has been put into me to share with others. And so when I kind of look at it from that lens, that it's selfish for me to keep those within me, it really does help drive me to like press on and kind of like fill my tank up, so to speak, when I need it.
I guess I got a good question, which kind of almost kind of spawned this whole topic of motivation, but it was a really specific question about motivation. It's a cyclist, and he was asking about more like in the moment motivation. Like not necessarily getting through the training blocks and the big goal at the end of the road. It's like motivation to push on now, like
in the moment.
In the moment,
right.
So do you feel that that's a motivation thing or a focus thing, or how do you view that?
Geesh. I know that's like my new favorite word, right?
Geesh.
Someone send me a new word. Evan is on me. He's like, Anina, every day is geesh. I'm like, you are right. Or geesh Louise. Anyways, okay. Man, I almost feel like it is something to me. What initially came to me is focus, and almost like are you losing focus? As it relates to your thoughts. Like, I'm just kind of thinking as a cyclist, maybe you're in the last, 500 meters, whatever, you're in your sprint. And are you losing focus in that? Is it you're telling yourself like, oh my gosh, I suck, or look who I'm with. I'm with like the 3 fastest people here. I'm totally not going to be able to do this. And so you already are talking yourself out of even performing at a certain level. So to me, it almost is like a focus, like you're losing your focus in the moment is kind of what came to me. So, I mean, I don't mean, maybe it could be motivation, but initially what came to me was focus. And it's like, you've lost your focus. And I'm almost wondering too, if a part of it would be of like, if you know that is something that can happen to you in a race, that, you're just kind of, you recognize that is something that maybe has come up for you before, is maybe pre-training with your coach of, when these thoughts start to come in my head, what am I going to say to them? Am I going to start laughing at them, or am I going to refute them with something else that I know to be true about myself to really help me regain my focus? It's kind of what comes to me.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I have a couple different thoughts, but very similar vein. I do think it's focus and concentration, but like, why would it go negative versus positive? Am I just tired? Do I just don't feel like I have the energy? Or is it that? Is it self-sabotage? Is it self-fulfilling prophecy of like, on the negative side, like, you're right. They're better than me, so I don't have the motivation. I'm too tired to dig this hard. They're going to beat me anyway.
Right.
Or a lot of it could be just they don't have the right arousal level, to match the demand, the challenge, right?
True.
So they could be way too amped up and performing anxiously, or
True.
motivation could be really low and they're just not aroused enough to perform optimally.
That's a good point.
Like they're kind of almost coming in a little flatlined, so sometimes like during practices or training, like you're not motivated to do the work, but then it's also hard to do the work in competition because you're just way too amped up. So it's having to find that balance. And then so other things could be like having the proper script and just kind of routine that you go like pre-practice, pre-competition to one, get you to that right level. And then 2, having the right self-talk in place, imagery, self-talk, different things, different keywords, like when I make a mistake. So am I going to just get on myself and just repeat that loop constantly, or am I going to have a keyword or cue phrase to be able to break that?
Yeah.
One of the good things that I had read recently and posted about it, and I thought it was a really good one. It was a coach would ask his athletes this, and this is kind of, it's not just like I'm going to shoot them a random text on a Tuesday when they're in class that there's only one answer to this, but it's like, it's scripted. It's during practice. It's during competition. So the question would be, where are you? And to him, there was only one correct answer to that question. Right here, right now, in the present. So be where your feet are, be in the moment, be in the present. So all those things, and I think that gives you the right focus, the right motivation, and to know that if it's a team sport or even an individual sport, like I'm counting on me. I've done the work. I'm prepared.
Yeah.
Or my team is counting on me, or someone's counting on me. I'm counting on me to show up.
It's a huge piece.
Yeah, all these different things. Like one of the other phrases I thought was really, really good is, I can't wait to introduce my opponents
Yeah. I remember
to
hearing
my
this.
preparation.
Yes. That's awesome.
So that reframes everything. It's like,
does.
yeah, they're good, but so am I.
Right.
And I've worked really, really hard, and I'm not going to, if they beat me, they're going to work for
They're
it.
going to work for it.
I'm
exactly.
not giving it to them.
Exactly.
And then if I lose, that's fine. It's still a success to me because I performed to the absolute best of their ability. And if they did and theirs was better, then that's great. That's fine. Good competition. I love good, healthy competition. Shows me what to work on and areas to perform better in. But I can walk away proud of that.
Yeah.
Versus like, even if you get the exact same place, but you ease up in the sprint, or you don't deliver your speech the way you should, or you don't study for the test fully the way you should, you don't show up for the challenge. I think that changes things for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. It really does.
So, what are some, I guess we kind of touched on a little bit of that, like some of the positive and negative benefits of motivation. Do you kind of have anything closing, like anything that you kind of want to wrap all that up with? Any other closing ideas about motivation?
Yeah. I think just one piece that's really hit me before is just noticing that my motivation can change over time, and that is okay. Maybe my motivation to, for instance, like, be a cyclist has changed from when I was.
You're going through that right now.
I totally am. And it's just like me just kind of have a piece about it that I'm in a different season right now, and that is okay. And I think that is something that I've had to come to terms with and understand, that just because my motivation isn't as high as it was last year, that doesn't mean anything about me, that I'm less of a person or I'm just not as disciplined. It's just my motivation has switched, and now it's on to something different, and just I think having a piece about that, I think, is a huge thing that's really stuck to me, is just as I've kind of learned more about motivation and how it's been playing a role in my life. So
I think that kind of goes to the ebb and flow. And this is an area that I struggle in, is I want to be all in on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you want to get burnt out and drained quickly, do that. Like, you will have no motivation and no energy to do anything well. So I think you have to go through those exploratory periods and phases in life where you're doing a little bit of a lot of things,
right? And
then hone in, go all in. I think it's important for us to invest in ourselves and invest in something. And I think sometimes people, they would rather stay shallow and broad with a lot of things because they're not really invested in anything. And it's maybe they do have that fear of failure or fear of success on it. And so they don't want to get invested, because what if I flop, right? But on the other side, like, I think it's really good to challenge ourselves to say, I'm going to learn this and I'm going to master this. And mastery, like we've learned, I mean, it's 10,000 hours is and I think, like everyone else that's explained that, I think that's to get into the door, to like knock on the door of mastery. Like, you're definitely not mastering it even at 10,000. Like, that's when you can begin. I think that's when you understand how much you don't know about a subject.
Right.
But yeah, it's really neat. So to me, like, I like to go through those phases too, to get into a lot of different things on a surface level, explore, try, and then kind of sift through it, find something that's interesting, find something that's motivating, meaningful, and go all in. I think invest in it, invest in yourself, invest in. And
I think that's such a good point too, because you make me think about just when we do that and we kind of branch out and look at everything else there is to do around us, I think it really taps into our state of curiosity and creativity that I think a lot
That's
of times,
huge. Creativity, yeah.
I think a lot of times as adults, we forget about that piece,
Creativity dies when you're after the toddler years, right?
Pretty much, yeah. And so I think when you really allow yourself the time and space to start looking at things and seeing what else is out there besides the thing you've been so narrowly focused in, I mean, you may decide hey, I want to go do some paintings. I want to go shoot my gun, or I want to go whatever. Just start to think about all these different things that you can do that maybe you've lost touch with, or maybe you want to go to the park and go down the slide with your dog. I don't know. There's so many things that just
anything.
Yeah, anything. And I think it allows our brain just to kind of relax a little bit too.
Because if it's switched on all the time, you're stressing yourself out.
Yes.
I think and that's when other things that's when having the routines and a coach and kind of we touched on a lot of this stuff kind of before, just different routines in place that take us out of that sympathetic state. I think just our society just has us switched on way too much. We're always on the phone, looking at a screen, interacting,
right?
Ready for something, right? In traffic, caffeine, is almost like in an IV. We're always amped up. We're always ready. So we need to learn to activate the parasympathetic.
Yeah.
When was the last time you meditated? When was the last time you just closed your eyes, got quiet, and just did some breathing and thinking?
Recharging batteries.
Yeah, journaling. I mean, when was the last time we did some of that? I'm sure a lot of our listeners do that. I mean, if they're into this kind of stuff, I mean, they might be plugged into that a little bit more. But I know for a long time I wasn't. And when I started implementing those things, I really saw a huge benefit. I really saw a big change. I was able to, when I was switched on for whatever task or goal, I was able to do it with more intensity, with more purpose and more drive. And then knowing I was going to have that relief period too.
Yeah, that's huge. That's a huge piece. And they can keep you going basically too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For as hard as we train, I say train, as hard as we do anything, as hard as we pursue our big goal, our motivation, our target, kind of what we talked about, what we point our compass in and the intensity that we point or use, yes, use maximum intensity,
right?
But also rest with the same intensity. I think that's the piece that's often missed.
Yeah, they'll rest hard, right?
Yeah. Train hard and rest hard. Yeah,
exactly. Oh, well, nope. I feel like that's kind of all I have tonight.
Yeah, no, I feel good. I think that's, I agree. I think we kind of hit a lot of really cool stuff there.
Yeah, I'd love to hear if anyone has any other questions or anything they want us to talk on as it relates to motivation.
I think just kind of how we've thought about this is we would, going forward, just to kind of wrap this up, is we love having these conversations. So if you have any topics that you want us to discuss or hear about, please shoot us a line. You can get a hold of us through email, through Sound Mind Strategy, through the website, social media, Facebook. You can either of our personal accounts or Sound Mind Strategies Instagram and Facebook account. We're both really active on that. Shoot us a line. Let us know what topic you would like to hear about. And then moving forward, other things that we would like, we're going to try to add once a month is we're going to try to bring a guest on and just kind of have a neat one-on-one discussion with them. And then if we do get enough questions, we would like to make that last monthly
Q&A kind of thing.
Yeah, a Q&A. So that would be a lot of fun. We are still taking clients. Both of us are open to taking clients for coaching or consulting work. I'm also have a couple spots open for some cycling clients if anyone's interested in that. I think that kind of just sums up a lot of the a lot of the housekeeping stuff.
Yes.
So thank you for sticking with us and listening to it. And we would love for your feedback. Please share, subscribe, rate it, leave a comment on iTunes, Stitcher. If there's another platform that you or a friend or that you're wanting to listen to this on and we're not on it, let us know. We'll definitely make that change and make it available on whatever platform you prefer. So thank you again, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.